Thanks for joining us for today's segment of Moments Off the Mat. I'm Tony Black, USA Wrestling's Director of State Services. I'm joined today by Kristi Mann, the state chairperson from Arkansas. Kristi, thanks for joining us.
You bet.
Good deal. So Kristi, I know you and I met in 2009 in Fargo, which is where we're all supposed to be right now. So when you first came to Fargo again in 2009, you were the team leader for Arkansas. Did you have any idea what you were getting into? I mean, you knew that Pat Smith was going to be coaching all those wrestlers from Arkansas, but were you told, what were you told, and why did you raise your hand and say, yes, I will be the team leader?
I don't actually remember that I raised my hand. It was, hey, we're going. Pat said, hey, there's this big tournament every summer and we need to take a group. We need to take our group. And I'm like, okay. And Pat is great on the mat, best coach ever. The four-timer is awesome, but logistics is not his thing. So I started really probably calling you and saying, hey, what is this? Where do we stay? Well, we took 14 wrestlers on a school bus and we pulled up in Fargo with, I think, 5 coaches, 14 boys, and I was just so clueless. But to no avail, that was our start. And I always, probably one of my favorite memories was our first win, Arkansas's first win on the mat. You guys really blew up and everything, and it happened to be my oldest son. And so we thought, you know what, we're supposed to be here and let's go. And it's been nonstop ever since. Now, I didn't know there's 2 divisions. I didn't know there was a cadet division and a junior division. So we had like 7 cadets all in the junior division. And those wrestlers never let me live that down. They're like, oh man, I should have been in the cadet. So we didn't know there was one. So that's how raw we were. But we've evolved in the past 10 years. So thank goodness. But that first year was awesome.
Well, you note that there are 14 wrestlers and 5 coaches on that school bus. Obviously, you remember the kids and coaches. Do you keep in contact with any of them? Obviously, your son being one, but I mean, do you keep in contact with them, and are any of them still involved in wrestling in Arkansas?
Absolutely. In fact, that first group, we have several that have recycled back in, and they're high school coaches now, which makes us so proud. And we also, the same group of coaches is still there. We've added a few and maybe lost 1 or 2, but we're a real tight-knit group. And we stay in contact because really in Arkansas, those trailblazers are still the ones fighting to grow our numbers and just keep Arkansas wrestling going.
That's awesome. So for the, the wrestlers and the coaches in Arkansas, what does it mean to go to Fargo and participate in the junior nationals, or if they didn't know that there was a cadet division then, or now it's called 16U. So what does it mean for them, the kids, to participate?
Well, it actually means everything. We really treasure our national team, and all throughout the year on the high school teams and everything. I go to a lot of the tournaments as well as Pat. And we look at guys and we say, you need to wrestle with us, and girls now in the summer. And the national team, we just really make it a coveted thing. You're representing the state, you're going to wrestle the best. And some of us in Arkansas are the best, and you need to be there. So it's really, plus the cool gear that Arkansas always sports. But we really, really make it a big thing, and the kids just love it. I'm getting calls from parents and kids saying, we should be up there right now. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We're all missing it. But I get calls daily, last week and this week, about everybody missing it.
Yeah, well, what are you missing the most about it? And maybe, I mean, the lead up to it would have already, that hay would have been in the barn. But what are you missing the most, Kristi?
I know personally just the relationships with the other state chairs and the coaches, that we get to catch up yearly. But probably the most thing that I miss is I think we took 55 kids last year, and the relationships that I get to make with those wrestlers and the families, as well as our coaches, because like I said, we're still growing in our sport and our skill level is increasing every year. But once those kids are on my team, they call me Mama Man is my name, Mama Man. And I have kids from 10 years back, calling me Mama Man. But I guess those relationships that we get to bond with our team, and then those relationships spread out all throughout the high school year, even though the boys are on separate teams. You see them in the corner, they have their national team jacket on for warm-ups. I'm just missing that connection this year with my guys and my girls. We took a big group of girls the past couple of years. And so, because those bonds, as we know, once you're a wrestler, you're in the wrestling family, you're for forever. So I'm missing that group that I would have taken this year.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully 2021, you have way more than 55, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we, like I said, we grow every year, and that's what's so encouraging. I know we would have had tons more this year. So, and that's our goal, to keep growing it.
Yep. Well, we'll get to growth in a second. So, because there's obviously been a decade or more of growth in Arkansas. So, speaking specifically about Fargo, and when I say Fargo, maybe not just the city, but the event itself, right? Junior Nationals. What's your fondest memory to date?
Oh, my fondest memory. That first group, that was very fun because we were hilarious. Like I said, found out there's 2 divisions, and some of the moms were like, "Isn't mine supposed to be in that division?" I'm like, "Hey, we're here, let's wrestle." But probably my fondest is Tyler's All-American. He All-Americaned as a cadet and a junior up there, and that really showed people that we're growing it and we have good wrestlers here. And I giggle because AR is for Arkansas, and they kept saying Tyler was from Alaska or Arizona. So I'd run up to the table and I'd put a big AR's Arkansas, because no one from Arkansas really done well in that tournament. And so that was probably my fondest moment, is Tyler's All-American, which made us spin out of lots of things and a lot of growth.
Cool. I mean, you mentioned your son, Tyler. He did go to Oklahoma State out of high school, wrestled for John Smith. Then he transferred to Ouachita Baptist, where he was coached by Kevin Crutchmer and earned All-American status, I think in 2008, right? Or sorry, 2018. 2018.
18, yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of impact do you think that him earning All-American status will have on, the future, or that next wave of wrestlers from Arkansas?
Well, it definitely has been a ripple effect, and being very blessed, and a lot of Tyler's hard work paying off, and getting that All-American is just such a huge feat. And hearing from all the other states about congratulations, and really noting that was a big high point for wrestling. And we have 5 colleges now in Arkansas, and some of the other kiddos my wrestlers have All-American, I think, on the at Williams, and well, now we have UALR, but that collegiate All-American, I think, put us even farther up on to the goal that we're supposed to go. And so that was really awesome.
So changing gears a little bit here, gonna ask you a question about an individual in Arkansas. So, I mean, Greg Hatcher, right? I mean, tremendous amount of support for wrestling at the high school and collegiate levels. Greg has really made wrestling possible in Arkansas. Knowing that, I mean, many people know his involvement, but are there any Greg Hatcher stories that we don't know about that you can share to highlight the type of person that he is?
Oh, where do I begin? No, he is such a trailblazer. And the thing about Greg Hatcher is he doesn't take no. and all those that know him and love him know that that is just a given. My favorite story, which probably describes Greg's determination, is one summer. We get to we have our camp here in Little Rock and out at Pat's Academy, and it's on Greg's property, and we get to use his house and different things, all his facilities for when the boys come in. And then when we send boys off to Fargo, we're not there yet where we have transportation, so it's kind of like everybody get to Fargo, be here at this time. So we're packing cars with kids, and then the couple years that Lane wrestled, Greg's son, Greg would kind of fly up after Lane's football, and I remember I got in a pinch and I had to get a couple kids up there. They kind of told me at the last minute, "Hey, Mom, man, I don't have a ride." Well, thank you. We're supposed to be there tomorrow. But so I called Greg and I'm like, "I need help." And he's like, "Okay, where are they?" And I said, "Well, they're in Little Rock." Well, Greg had been down in Dallas, I think on one of his daughter's basketball tournaments. And he said, "Okay, I'll come get them." Well, the mom of these wrestlers went all the way down to Dallas because that's where Greg was. Greg flew to Little Rock and said, "Where are they?" I said, "Well, they're in Dallas." He goes, "Okay, let me go back to Dallas." The mom could not find the airport in Dallas. Greg gets in his car, goes and finds them, and then I get a call. He says, "Kristi, you need to tell me when they're heavyweights." Like one of them was a 280 pounder and another one was 215. And so Greg had to take all his luggage off the plane, and I think he left his wife there so he would be on the correct weight thing, and flew those boys to Fargo. So that's he'll do anything to get a kid to the mat. That describes him perfectly.
That's awesome. And fortunately, when flying into Fargo, I mean, right, the airport right across the street from the Fargo Dome, they didn't have far to go once they got there, but it sounded like quite the deal to get them there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But he's like, you're supposed to tell me they're heavyweights. I'm like, "Well, you never ask." But like I said, he threw luggage off the plane, got those boys to Fargo, and that's just what he does.
That's great. So I think we can see right behind you, Kristi, you've got your Mrs. Mann board. You're a school teacher, so can you share what your spring was like and what you anticipate for the fall?
Absolutely. So this is my classroom. I started teaching virtual back in March. And so on my calendars, I had some lesson plans back here. It's been quite a different change, but with my kiddos, I really am with the parents. I'm like, "Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to get through this." Because I think particularly, parents were scared and my kiddos were scared that I teach in school. And I'm like, "Hey, we're going to work it out. Failure's not an option." I'm also married to an Army guy. So, carry on soldier is a lot of what we do around our house. So, but it was very different. But we got through it. We got through the semester, and my kiddos did fine on their studies. And looking to fall, honestly, I'm unsure. We haven't come out. The governor says here that we're going to start August the 24th. Now, I think it's still up in the air if it will be virtual or face-to-face. So we're just kind of trying to figure it out.
All right. So, and maybe this question will take you back to when someone recruited you and your kids to the sport of wrestling. But when you talk to parents about youth sports, why do you tell them that their child or their children should wrestle?
Well, that's an easy one. Wrestling is the most diverse sport. You can have a kid that weighs 106 pounds. You can have a girl that weighs 200 pounds. And the rise and increase of self-esteem is phenomenal when I see those athletes on the mat. And it's all pretty much on what they have worked, how hard they've worked to be successful in this sport, and they can be. the sky's the limit with wrestling. And I always tell parents that. And, you know, just like in life and with my 3 boys, you're going to wrestle through it. You know, if you're down going into the 3rd period, you figure out a way to win. And the best story is my oldest was 93 pounds when he walked into his high school. And he ended up being the most athletic in his class 4 years later. And he beat all the football players, the basketball players, the track stars. And that just goes to show that a 93-pound athlete can excel. And he was a champion. And that sport embraced him and gave him so many skills, as well as my other sons too. But that's what I tell everybody. Was in a class of 670, Tanner was the most athletic in his class, you know, at 119 pounds. That kind of says a lot, that the sport can take anybody and they can see success not only just on the mat, but the skills that it gives you to work your life off the mat too.
That's great. So last question for you, Kristi. So USA Wrestling membership has gone from less than 100 people in the state of Arkansas in 2007 to over 1,000 in 2020. What sort of growth do you anticipate? I mean, that's awesome growth. But what sort of growth do you anticipate in terms of USA Wrestling membership, high school participation, and college programs and participation in Arkansas coming up?
Well, I anticipate us to keep rolling like we've been rolling, to increase it, I swear, twofold, particularly we started high school girl wrestling last year, and all the girls are jumping on board. And that was going to be my thing, is to take a bigger girl group to Fargo this year, but also get them plugged into USA Wrestling and all the benefits that it has for a wrestler and the family, and just the knowledge that it brings. But I truly, when those girls start getting their memberships and those girls' families, as well as just keep doing what we're doing, we are just out there just plugging away on the different clubs. We have clubs that are going up right and left. So I'm just proud of it. And once, and a lot of it is just getting somebody to go to a wrestling match or a dual meet at school. Tyler is on the 1st year as being a coach. So he just finished his 1st year of coaching a high school team. And the first thing he said, Mom, I want to call every one of my coaches and say thank you. Yeah, it takes a lot to get somebody to the mat, doesn't it, son? But with that and those guys going back into our system, I know those points of contact are just going to increase, as well as that will increase our memberships for sure.
Yep. Yeah, as Tyler learned this year, right? The mats don't roll out themselves. So there's obviously someone who's responsible for that, and now as the coach, it's him, right? Now I might be delegating to the athletes on his team, but
I have laughed. He's like, some didn't show up for the bus. Now he has a wonderful team, but it's just, you know, being 2 steps ahead of them, you know. So it's been great.
Cool. Well, Kristi, I certainly appreciate you joining us. I obviously wish that we were chatting at the head table in Fargo right now. I'm sure we will in 2021, like we've done the last, decade plus up there. And I hope everybody on here that joins us today for this segment of Moments Off the Mat realizes that Kristi Mann has probably never had a bad day in her life. She's always positive, right? And we've had some tough situations in Fargo, and man, oh man, you're always happy, always cheerful, always positive. And it just rings through in all of your answers. So again, thanks a lot for joining us, Kristi.
Well, Tony, thank you. And I'm sure I have asked you 1 million questions, and probably that next year the second year we went to Fargo is, hey, Tony, are there 2 divisions in Fargo?
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
so
great.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody for joining us at home, thanks again. This is the latest segment of Moments Off the Mat presented by USA Wrestling. We've been joined by Kristi Mann from Arkansas today. So everyone have a great day.